All right, welcome back everybody. In this lesson, we're going to continue on with this coloured paper design, and we're going to use it to create some text that's going to take on this coloured paper texture. So to do that, what we want to do is let's keep this as a separate document, our coloured paper Photoshop design document. So let's get a file and let's go to Save As, and let's call this one coloured paper text. All right, so click OK. So we've now got two Photoshop documents. One that's just going to be for our color paper, and this one's we're going to use this for colored paper text. Okay, so it's pretty easy to make. So what we need to do is we want to firstly duplicate this or copy this layer and all its styles that we applied. So if you hold Option on the keyboard and click and drag down, you'll get another layer that's exactly the same, or a copy of it, or a clone. Okay, so now the next thing to do is we want to let's make the color overlay of this piece of paper white. And not that we're going to see it, and then the color that our text will take will come from this layer here. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to just put a text layer in between the two layers here. So select the bottom layer, grab your text tool, and I'm just going to write paper and move that over a bit. Now I'm going to change the color of it from, actually before we do that, let's hide the top layer because we can't see our text. Let's go into our character panel here. If you can't see it, just window character, and there it is there. Let's make this bigger so we can see it. It doesn't matter about the color at the moment, so let's just make it nice and big and choose like a blocky bold font, one that you can see the texture come through. All right, so now what we want to happen is we want this text to take on the texture of this paper. So in order to do that, we want to just select the first layer, right click it and create clipping mask. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to apply all these effects directly to our text layer there. Okay, now if I zoom in closely, you can see that the text now has the texture applied to it. Okay, and it's on its own separate layer. And this is editable too, so what you can do is you can, if you want a different word or a different letter, you can just go back to the text tool and you can type a different word or a different letter. Okay. Now, the other thing, I'm just going to zoom right in so we can see. The other thing we'll do is just on the bottom set of layers here, just click this button here, or double click, and just click OK there. And what this will do is we can drop the opacity of these filters that we've applied slightly down to maybe 50% or so. And what that will do is that will just it's up to you when you're design. That will just knock back the paper texture slightly, but you could leave it at 100%, or you could take it down to 80, between 80 and 50, between 100 and 50%, depending on how it looks on your screen. I might just leave it. I might just go down to 80 just to soften the effect slightly. Click OK. That's all you need to do. Now, what we might do is we might just add a drop shadow to the paper text layer by going into Effects, choosing Drop Shadow. Just a little drop shadow will be fine. You can change the angle to suit what you think might work. You can see it quite a bit there. If I put the distance out, I might drop it down to about here. It's coming down the bottom a little bit. There we go. I've kept the size at 2, the spread at 0. Then you could play around with these settings, but you only really want kind of like a little bit of a shadow to create a bit of an edge, so it looks like the text is standing out away from the background a little bit. Okay, now what you can do with this is you can go back into the top layer here, color overlay. If I want different colored text, I can change the color, and you can see it'll change the color of the text, the paper. All right, so how could we use this? Like what you could do is, if you wanted to put this in another design, you could right click the layer and the text layer, and if you go to quick export as PNG, that's just going to export that layer on its own as a PNG. Let's call it pink paper. The desktop, save it, and back to our other design over here. And let's go to File and Place Embedded. And where are we? Pink paper, P for pink. Did I not save it in the right spot? No, there it is there. Okay, and it's a PNG, so it's a lossless file type. And there we go. There we've got our pink paper in our in another design. Okay, and again, like I said in the other video, you could use it in I don't know, an animation on a website, on a video. Okay, and the drop shadow comes in so that you can, it stands out away from the background a bit more. Another thing you can do that with this that I can show you quickly is, so I said before it's editable. I could just delete and I could change the font, so I could change the text, I can change the color. Let's change it to, I don't know, just for that one there, that font, and to change the color, we'll go back to color overlay. Let's change it to green. Nice bright green, click OK. And again, if we just wanted a single letter, we could go to File, Export as Quick Export as PNG. Let's call that P. Save it. Back to our design here. File, Export, Place Embedded. I'll tell you in class about the difference between Place Embedded and Linked. It's actually quite important. No, it can be quite important when we're resizing things. There we go. There's the letter P. Okay, so you can have this saved. You've got your colored paper Photoshop document that you can use in designs, and now you've also got a colored paper text document, Photoshop document that you can export from and you can use in other designs. Okay, thank you.